how did it come to be that coming from writing and radio, you fell into podcasting?
I think it's probably more like podcasting found me. We were at a moment, I think, in the radio industry that things were starting to transition into more on-demand content. And as you and I were discussing doing some of the shows that we had done in college, try to do those again, I think that we met the moment at the right time, I would say, by the creation of the Good Old Boys radio show. But I think that the way that people consume content was transitioning away from you come home at night, you turn on the 6 o'clock news, you have dinner with your family, 6:30 news comes on, take a little break, you might watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy or something, and then at 8 o'clock you're watching all the TV shows at night. If you look at what the Nielsen numbers were in the 1980s and 90s for network television, it was through the roof. But with the advent of cable TV and then the internet coming along, I think people started consuming content very differently from what we were used to. So I think that us having an understanding that people would like on-demand content, we were able to create a vehicle to provide that. It wasn't really happening in the audio space as much at that point. Like I said, like we started doing the Good Old Boy show before there was actually a word for podcasting, but we were providing an on-demand platform for content. And I think that what I understood before a lot of my peers did was that this was coming to the audio landscape, and I don't think a lot of radio stations embraced it properly the way that I decided to embrace it. Even the radio station that I was working for at the time, I don't think really embraced on-demand content. But then when I transitioned to another radio station and had a little bit more power to push things in that direction, we started doing a lot more in the podcast space, getting on Apple and all of that type of stuff. And it has paid dividends for us overall, even with us not even understanding what podcasting was properly with the Good Old Boys radio show. It took us a while before we even got on Apple Pods and Spotify and all of that stuff, but I think that there was no escaping what the consumer was demanding. And I feel for those of us that have survived this transition into podcasting, I think it was the people that understood that the way that people were digesting content was evolving. And basically, as I've talked to both of you guys about before, I think that you have to listen to what the audience is telling you to do. The audience is demanding on-demand content, so we gave it to them.
pushplaypods.com